following podcast may contain some adult language. You've been warned.
Welcome to Finding the Narrative, the Genesys RPG Podcast. This is a show dedicated to the Genesys Role Playing System created by Fantasy Flight Games and produced by Edge Studios. A show in which we, your hosts, discuss all things Genesys from both the player's and a GM's perspective. I am Tony Fanning, and with me, as always, are my fellow co-hosts and good friends, Chris Holmes and Stefan Dragonspawn. Stefan, how are you today?
I am good. Are you sure we're your good friends and co-hosts? Then I'm sure there.
In that order, not necessarily.
No, I'm doing well. Worked yesterday at the new job. Liking it. My back was sore, but not used to working physically instead of just in front of a computer. So I have to move a few more muscles, but I'm much better now. How about you, Chris?
Not a spry 20-year-old anymore, are you?
No.
So
But I'm still good.
Exercising that brain matter. Now you got to exercise the body.
Exactly. And how are you, Chris?
I'm doing pretty good. My Vikings beat the Packers, so it's always a good day when that happens, especially because they were 1-5 to start the day. But now they're 2-5, and I know, snore talking about sports, but fuck it. This is my time. And I know there might be
barbecues too.
One of you 10 people might be a Packers fan, and you know what? I don't give a shit. We're gonna suck. The Vikings are gonna suck anyways, but at least they do good against them. Other than that, just been playing a lot of SOTOR.
Nice.
Rising my dorkness, as they say. Right? How about you, Tony? What's up with you, bud?
Same thing. Playing Star Wars: The Old Republic online with you, and running games. It seems like every other day.
Mm-hmm. Kind of does.
I love it.
Nice.
I love it.
Chris, Tony, you are there, my darlings.
Holy crap! Is that Stephanie?
Yes, I decided to drop by. I heard that this was episode 69. Oh, I love that number. I was born 69 seconds before Stefan.
Of course.
Of course you were.
And to stay, before I go, a little joke for you. What do you get when you cross a male organ with a telephone pole?
I don't know.
Afraid to ask.
You get a humongous dick that wants to reach out and touch someone. Imagine that. Well,
wow.
I must leave you now. I have to go to a Halloween after party. Ciao, my cheries.
Ciao,
Stephanie.
Wow.
Well then, that was a good one.
An unexpected visit from Stephanie.
That's right.
Yes, she said that if I breathed a word of it, she would kill me.
Nice.
Yeah, I believe she's capable of it.
She would make me into a ghost.
Yes, we are to episode 69, and we are entitling this one Mastering Encounters. Now, a while back, we did a show on building encounters, and I think our last regular show, we did one on the new scoring system for challenge ratings for adversaries.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and now we're kind of building upon that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So be prepared to have some knowledge dropped on y'all.
Yeah.
We don't claim to be the experts, but we are some of them.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, some experience.
Share with what works, what's been working for us.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're new at this game, you might learn something. If you've been at it for a while, you can call us, write us, send us a nasty email that says we got it all wrong.
That's right.
Call us out on our bullshit.
That's right. Please, we haven't gotten any emails recently.
No.
Please call us out on our bullshit.
Yeah.
Free.
Hey, if you want to send Stephanie a love letter, address that to Stefan. He'll make sure she gets it.
Oh, yeah.
That's right. I mean, if you have any comments on that joke she just said either, FTN does not promote the use of telephone. No, forget it.
Crossing telephone poles with
telephone poles
mail
to do.
organs?
I don't know what the hell I was doing with that one, but
bet you better not be saying we don't
recommends
the
ducking.
use of foul language.
Recommends ducking when you do see some, maybe through somebody reaching out to touch you, especially because of COVID. But anyways, let's move on, please.
Yes, all right. We'll definitely be more than 6 feet apart. So
there is that.
All right,
Here we go. Let's move on.
Get on with it.
Well, okay, so that happened. But we are now here to boost the signal, everybody, and this is where Stefan finds all the hot new pieces of awesomeness out there on the Foundry for us, and gives a little review, gives us a little description of what's going on to get you guys excited about it. What you got for us this time, Stefan?
All right, we got a few things. I know it's by the time we're recording this, it's after Halloween, but for Halloween or any other time, you can make your players scream in fright by running the Headless Rider of Nerrick Tower. Dum, dum, dum. Set in the realms of Tirnoth, but you can adapt it to your own setting with a few tweaks. And it's suited for a group of 4 to 6 players with about 50 to 100 earned XP. And the adventure includes 5 pre-gen characters. So if you don't have your own or just want to run things on the fly real quick, you got some. 20 new adversaries and allies. You've got some of these adversaries as cards as well for use at the table. And then all characters and adversaries are supported in the RPG Sessions app too, which is cool for an easy online play. So links are provided in the module, so you can clone all of them to your own account and get ready to play in minutes, which is kind of cool. Which is what we've used a couple of times to make our own characters for Advantageous Threats, the RPG Sessions.
Yeah.
So this is offered by a person called Giri Raman, for $4.95. There's a link in the show notes. And then we've got our very popular Chris Markham, always very prolific.
Who's that guy?
Some guy who comes up with a lot of stuff for
stuff, right?
Genesys, a few things here and there. Once in a while he comes up with stuff, and he just released Volume 5 of Treasures of Tirnoth. Wow. And pretty soon at this rate they'll have more Treasures of Tirnoth than Lord of the Rings movies. So in this one he wrote up 15 magic items that are derived from the Descent board game and expansions. And just like his other volumes and series, each has cool illustration with optional rules for players to create them for only $2.
Nice. And
he's not done yet. He also released 3 art packs for free to help anyone else out there who may want to publish their own Realms of Tirnoth supplements. One is called City Symbols and Other Official Heraldry. So for all kinds of symbols for the various cities there and nobles, as well as two of the, including monsters, images. These are all sold as a pack, but they're inside when you buy them. They're individual PNG images, and some of the pics are actually painted miniatures from various Tirnoth-inspired games like Descent or Rune Wars. So
cool.
They look pretty cool. Yep. And just recently, he also offers the Honorable Heroes, a collection of 9 pre-gens for Tirnoth as well, done in the same manner as the FFG pre-gens that Fantasy Flight Games came out with. 2-page character sheets with all the information needed and ready to play. There's even grayed out sections for using the character as more advanced NPC if you need to. A printly-friendly version of the document is included, along with the grayed out talents left blank for advancement. And that is also for $2. And instead of giving you the individual links for all these products, by playing on Drive-Thru RPG, clicking on Chris Markham's name, it gives you all the stuff that he's come up with, and you can sort them through date added if you want to see the more recent stuff. So the link will be there. So there you go. A quick overview of what came out recently. We hope that this has boosted the signal for both Chris and Giri, put something on your radar that's brand new, and a couple of extra dollars in their pockets as well. Encourage the community. So there you go for boosting the signal.
All right. Well, hey, that was a good boost of the signal there, Stefan. Thanks.
Thank you.
So now we are into the Books of Genesis. Where we normally break down a section of the Genesis, of one of the books of Genesis, bit by bit. But we are opening up our game mastering playbooks and notes and going to give you some tips and tricks on mastering some encounters, what works for us, help you with prep for your games. Yeah. So, we're going to go over different types of encounters, and then we'll talk about how to prep for one-shot versus campaign play. So, I guess we want to start. What kind of encounters do we have in this game? Or others?
Well, I mean, there's a ton, but the bread and butter ones are the two mentioned in the core rulebook.
Yep.
And that is combat encounters and social encounters.
Yep. The structured combat, right?
Yes.
I think they
and
call
social encounters can lead into combat.
Typically round 0.
Yeah.
Your combat encounter, right? Mm-hmm.
And then there's one you've heard us do in our actual plays, and that is common amongst members of the community, and that is the skill challenge, which works really well for chases as well.
Yep.
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah. Then we've got investigative encounters with your mystery kind of situations or scenarios, and some that are setting specifics, such as hacking, which is covered in more detail in the Shadow of the Beanstalk.
That's right. Then others, like if you want to do like a tournament, whether it's a wrestling tournament or lumberjack tournament.
Yeah.
For your lumberjacks out there. And then maybe a vehicle race, which I'll be doing as an actual play here at the start of next year when it's my turn to run it again.
Yeah.
So, well, let's get into this. And, Tony, loving the acronym for your list for combat encounters. Why don't you kick us off, bud?
Right. So years ago, when I first started playing this, I was building encounters, and I came across this little handy document from the fellas over at the Order 66 podcast that we're doing the Star Wars podcast, and it was just called The List, and it's their list that they use to create combat encounters in Star Wars to make them cinematic and feel Star Wars. And I kind of, over the years, have expanded on that and created my own little acronym for how I come up with encounters. And I call it ROUSE, R-O-U-S-E, for Rousing Combat Encounters.
And because it's episode 69, Stefan wanted to say what?
Yeah, it's an arousing combat encounters.
And I read that...
If you do it right.
And I read that as Rouse, as in rodents of unusual size. And I'm like, well, of course you need rodents of unusual size in every fucking encounter. That would be just awesome. So
you never know. That might refer to something in our Advantageous Threats later.
Potentially.
So we start off with the R in Rouse, which is range bands. You set up your range bands in advance that you want for your encounter. whether you're using maps and minis or theater of the mind, you usually want a space that has at least long range between the two furthest points in the space.
Mm-hmm.
Melee-centric games, you only need to have medium range encounter space, and for more ranged-focused games in which characters will have extreme range on their weapons, or everyone has a long-range weapon, then you'll want to have extreme range encounter space.
Right. Yeah. So if you're in if you want to have like at a nightclub, have an encounter in a nightclub, end to end would be, medium range, from one end of the nightclub to the other potentially, right, Tony?
If it's a small club, you could have a large club that has long range.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And don't forget that a single range band can be added for elevation. So it may be medium range from one end of the room to the other, but by going for that movement, it's actually considered long range because you have to go up an elevation level.
Yep.
Right.
And
diagonally, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's another part of the range in there is that you include vertical space.
Yep.
Bi-levels, basements, holes in the floor, whatever it may be. In Star Wars, you always have the catwalk with no railings.
Of course,
the gantries and stuff.
That's right. Yeah. I mean, because you've got those talents like parkour, right, where you can move from within like a maneuver anywhere within short range, not necessarily at your same level, but you can go up a level, right? So
reaching little areas that would be difficult. I like to see like Jackie Chan in my mind when.
Oh yeah.
For that talent when he's jumping over a fence, just like between the wall and a tree, just boing boing boing. There, he's over the fence. Parkour.
Yeah, that's right.
The original master of it too.
Absolutely. Yeah, buddy.
So then we move into the O, which is obstacles and conditions. So provide that's the O in rouse.
Mm-hmm.
The provide a list of obstacles that would provide cover or hamper movement, and create opportunities for you as a GM to throw boost and setback dice into pools, whether those conditions be darkness or smoke or heat or extreme cold
or hampers,
or radiation.
If you are having an encounter in a laundromat, the hamper, because that's where
hampers.
Close in, right? I mean, come on.
Clothing hampers, yeah.
Closing
the
hampers.
Rolling kind.
Yeah, exactly.
Those rolling kind, yeah.
That's
that way when you fall in one, you can go, hey, diaper lady!
Yeah. Those might offer
what the fuck? Hey,
might offer boost dice as you're rolling along.
Did I just hear Craig? Fuck, where's Craig? Craig just...
But yeah, no, and obstacles that they can, these obstacles can be used as cover. They can be used as some of, like if they're portable obstacles like chairs, tables, things like
barrels.
that. They can be used as improvised weapons.
Yep.
You want to provide a dynamic environment that people can interact with,
so that they could spend that advantage on, right?
Yeah.
Ask
for boost dice or impose setback dice. The trash can spills and now it's difficult terrain or slippery.
Especially when they grab those talents that remove setback dice, right?
Yeah.
You'll definitely want to add setback dice to those checks, make them harder, and this is a way of doing it.
Yep.
Right.
Nothing more satisfying for a player going, no, I removed 2 setback dice.
Exactly. Totally. Yeah.
And it's almost as exciting when a player, you get to go, wait, can I have a boost die? Because you said this object was here, and that kind of I think this would give me a boost die.
Right.
Yeah.
So
now,
he's under direct light,
right.
that
Now,
kind of thing.
Any of you GMs that are listening to this, and if you do have a player, ask for a boost dice, because I listen to the Finding the Narrative podcast, and Stefan says always ask for a boost die. That ever happens, tweet Stefan. I think he would appreciate that.
Yeah, definitely. Let me know what the player asked for.
Prepare and listen to a podcast. You're winning already.
Yeah, you are. Yeah. That's right. Now, ours, I don't know if you're winning with that one, but hey, we'll see. What we got next here, Tony?
Unique results. That's what the U stands for. Make a list of a few potential ways to spend advantage, triumph, threat, and despair. There are, 24 different dice results that you can get. A combination of that's advantage with threat, success with threat, or failure with advantage. 24 different dice results.
Wow.
But the key here is a little bit of advantage and a triumph, you'll want an entry for each. A little bit of threat and a despair, you'll want an entry for each. Just ways that you can spend them. Just a note. Jot it down on a 3x5 card.
Now, Tony, when you come up with these lists, you make lists for not only yourself, how you can spend them as a GM. Do you make notes on how players could spend them as well?
Most assuredly. I have two columns. I have the GM side, the player side,
cool.
And whenever a player is stumped for something to do, I'll reference that player side and say, hey, well, here's an idea. And, just one or two results. You don't need much. And just a little note to yourself.
Yep. Cool.
But it'll make coming up with narrative results on the fly a little easier because it'll spark your imagination.
Mm-hmm. And if you tie those to kind of your story arc, or if it's a skill challenge dealing with some sort of investigation, maybe tie those to that a bit too. Yeah. Cool. Very cool.
Next, we have the S in rousing. And that is skill diversity. Think outside the combat skills box and write down a couple uses on that same 3x5 card for non-combat skills that can be used to benefit in the encounter. Whether it's hacking to get onto a computer network to be able to open and close security doors, or whether it's mechanics check to knock the wheel off of a wagon and spill a cart full of vegetables into the enemy's path as they're charging you.
Or maybe a knowledge check on maybe vulnerabilities of the target. Maybe if you're in a fantasy setting, trolls are supposed to be hit with fire, maybe. Those kinds of things.
And part of that also, really think about, if you're running a fantasy setting or a setting with magic, really think about ways that spells can be used in that encounter. The various different magic skills. Have a note. When a player goes, I'm stumped for what to do, you'll have a suggestion. You go, well, and a divine magic check here might come in handy for someone who's got divine magic. And the player that asked whether they have that divine magic skill or not, they'll try it. If they don't have it, the player who does heard you say that, and next round, he's going to roll.
There you go. Cool. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, or a coercion check after another player has made some kind of impressive die roll. It's like, yeah, see what my friend can do there.
Yep. Call that intimidating the enemy, demoralizing them. Yeah. Toss a strain per success when they coerce somebody in combat at their opponents.
Yep. Yeah, little ideas like that.
Yep. Maybe athletics check if one of your bigger characters want to just push a barrier, but into a place that would make cover for you. Yeah. In some round or whatever. But remember, every time you do make a skill check, that is considered like an action. Takes up kind of that that action. What do you call it? Economy there a bit. So keep that in mind.
Now, I'll tell you, I had recently. I ran Star Wars for you guys, and I ran an adversary. As a GM, I ran an adversary that never once made a single combat check.
Yeah, you did. That's all you're trying to do is climb out of a hole.
All it was trying to do, but it was so big that the players being around it was just creating this dangerous environment that they had to navigate and try and shut it down. It was a big battle. It was a big mining droid that was climbing out of a hole in the ground, just huge, like silhouette 3 or 4. And all my players were just at a complete loss. This thing was not attacking them, but it was damaging them by causing falling damage.
Yeah,
Oh,
we were
that's it.
damaging ourselves doing that.
That's a difficult terrain. Trying to rescue some of them that had really already fallen. So that causes the other people who failed to fall themselves.
That's right.
Others are trying frantically to do other things.
And when your big melee guy only has 10 strain as a maximum, and he's already got a couple into it, and he has to fall short range and takes 10 strain, he's out like a fucking light, man. That was me, everybody.
Big dude light switch.
That's right. The big dude light switch. Well done, Tony.
It created a very dynamic encounter by, as a GM, me thinking outside of the box and creating a skill check, a combat encounter where my NPC my adversary never made a combat check. Only ever was trying to athletics out of the hole it was in. It was trying to climb. That's all it was doing.
Yeah, because even it was having some difficulty, and the rest of us are trying to find different ways to shut them down or rescue the others. My character had to use a piloting skills for her hover bike to try and get one of the characters out. Someone else trying to do something else.
I try to do the whole jungle gym, the swing like Tarzan, but because of the line was slippery with hydraulic fluid. Trick, by the way, everybody go for the hydraulic fluid on a big fucking blade, by the way, everybody.
Yeah.
The hydraulic lines. So, that was very cool. That was good.
Yeah, so don't just... it's not just for players, is what I was trying to say on the skill diversity. It can be for adversaries as well.
Yep.
That's it.
Last in the rousing combat encounters is escape routes. And that's the E. You look to create ways for your players and crafty recurring adversaries to resolve the encounter without everyone on one side ending up dead. Whether overwhelming through reinforcements, arriving, or an environmental decay, such as the ground falling out from under everyone's feet, or someone flat out escaping, you should always have a way, at least one, that the encounter can end without a field of corpses.
Mm-hmm. I mean, because
a field of knocked out bodies, whichever way you want to narrate it.
That's right. I mean, somebody can roll double triumphs. That's happened before, and that could be something that could spawn this major decay to the environment, which kind of ends the encounter or whatever at some point.
Something big erupts from the ground, or the bad guy just while the other characters are busy, he flips a switch on the wall. Wall opens up and there's a tunnel behind there, and he slips in and he's gone.
All the lasers on the shark's head start firing at you, distracting you, and the bad guy gets away. Sharks with laser beams.
Whether they're actual escape routes or virtual escape from the encounter that your players can use or you as a GM can use, either way, build an escape route into every encounter that you build, at least one. And that way, if your players see it, they're going to think they solved the mystery of the Maltese Falcon when they figure out that this thing that they can do will completely end the encounter. They'll be like, yeah! They're going to cheer that moment.
Yeah.
But you as a GM, you built in that inevitability. Mm-hmm. You'll be sitting there snickering under your breath thinking, hey, I did it. But these are ways, and this is just my little way of saying, here's how you make your combat encounters, dynamic, cinematic, and exciting.
Right. Yeah.
And
I love this.
Rousing.
Man. Yes. Rousing. Definitely rousing. That definitely roused the brain a bit tonight.
How about the next one, homie?
All right. Well, this next one is our 5 W's for the dynamic social encounters. Okay? So, ask yourself these 5 questions. Who are you talking to? What are you after? Where does it occur? why can't we kill him? Now, that's probably... These questions might have to be asked from the player's perspective. And I said, and I kind of have a note in here after the why can't we kill him? It's like, yeah, any consequences basically for this being round 0 of a combat encounter. That's kind of what what are these consequences? And then when will it end? Another thing to keep in mind there is when your adversary is halfway strained, may want to give up a little bit. Something might happen there. They may partially concede the point. So want to have those noted down.
Yep.
Now, let's dial into each one of those and say what it means. Yeah. So, Stefan, you want to go into the first one?
Yeah, sure. So, of course, the easiest one, who are you talking to, is the subject where you're trying to interrogate or convince or coerce. Is he someone who has some vital information, a clue to the next part of the story? Right. Is he just, you want to negotiate a price? Is he a merchant? Sometimes it can be as basic as that. Doesn't have to be big and dramatic, but sometimes, just want a special deal on that MacGuffin for your spaceship.
Right. You want to make sure you pick the adversary appropriately, or if you're designing the adversary, remember what we covered in adversary design, that if you're making a social adversary, that they should be more focused on the role of attacking socially than on defending socially.
That's it. Yep. So the skills that, they'll have maybe talents that focus on the skills used offensively to cause strain to others, but when it comes to the players causing strain, they won't have as high a defense.
Right.
Okay. Then I guess the most important question is, what are you after? Mm-hmm. I mean, what is the purpose of the social encounter? Right. There has to be a purpose, and it can be a simple one-line answer. The players are here to negotiate for parts for their starship.
Right.
Or the players are here to negotiate to stop two warring factions from fighting.
Right.
Yeah.
And
whatever that is.
Answering that first question definitely feeds into the second one. Could help you answer this question. Right.
Correct. That's
what are you after?
Kind of why I listed them in this order, because knowing who has the information is almost more important than what information they're after.
Mm-hmm. Yep. No, exactly. I mean, for example, our last episode, the actual play, you guys interrogated one of the daughters of Dr. Zinn, so you know who. Mm-hmm. What were you after? Well, where is Dr. Quest at? Where's the secret? Where's the location of the facility?
That's right. Now, the next question, where did that occur? That occurred in a casino.
Yes.
So that's your set piece there. That would be your counter.
A floating casino.
Yeah, there you go. And then, and there would be things.
You'll want this environment that you do where it occurs to be almost as dynamic as your combat encounter spaces.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's it. I think I tried to describe as well as possible with the images to what the casino looks like, all the atmosphere, the people, the loud noises. I think I conveyed that pretty well, I hope.
Oh, I definitely had it. Definitely had it in it. It was a theater in my mind.
That's it. So you guys had some ideas, and even threw a few ideas like, okay, we corral her into yet less crowded space so you can interrogate her in privacy.
Yeah.
Excellent.
And I know, Tony, you had one place that just pops in my head. I think it was our last Star Wars game. There was that Slicer's office where she had the terminals up. They were kind of like the hollow, the kind of the HoloNet kind of looking display terminals. I think you might have used those against us during the social encounter, like, oh, hey, check this out. Boop. And you pulled up like a video of us or something. So that's, add more stuff to the encounter that your bad guy, your adversary, can use during it if they get an advantage. They could spend it on pulling up, video or something. So that just
Yeah,
popped in my head.
Knowledge files about your background of the characters.
Yeah.
Oh, apparently you've got a criminal record.
Oh, yeah.
Those are great ways, visual aids that the enemy uses,
Mm-hmm.
whether they or the adversary. They tend to be great ways to use threat and despair,
Yep.
or rolled by the players, or advantage rolled by the adversary.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So that was our where does it occur? And our next one, what do we have there, Stefan?
And it says, why can't we kill him or her?
Multiple reasons.
Multiple reasons. Sometimes we can't kill her because, she hasn't given us the information yet.
Well, that would be
Where is the
one.
facility? Come on.
And,
GMs, if you've run the players that I've had for years, you have to answer this question.
Mm-hmm.
Why? I have to give a reason as to why my players won't just kill this character outright.
Yeah.
What? Come on.
Because if they know that they can get the same information from their corpse,
Mm-hmm.
they will do so.
Yeah.
It's more fun that way. It makes for a more exciting social encounter, Tony.
Makes it very brief.
there are some fairly exciting social encounters that we have done that are. It's good stuff, and one of the reasons why you can't kill them is because you'd get killed yourself. Because you know what, we were just escorted through a warehouse into a back room with the whole freaking gang is here, right?
Yep. Like my first actual play that I did for the show with the Primordial Machina, and you guys were escorted past all those gang members to the gang leader where the social encounter actually occurred, and you had that entire gang outside.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
It
would have been a fight to go back out.
Can't always use that one though, because your social encounter will turn into a TPK if you do. Sometimes
there is that. There's a fine line between a well-balanced social encounter and a TPK. Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm saying if you use the threat of violence, overwhelming violence against your players too often, eventually they're going to test you.
Yeah.
I'm tired of this.
You'll have to smack him down with that stick for sure.
Yeah.
And then last but not least, we have When Will It End, homie? And you talked about it. So why don't you finish talking about it?
Yeah, I mean, basically, we mechanically speaking, it typically would end when your adversary or all of the players are at their max, they reach their strain threshold, right? But partway through it, it could end partway through it if the players have enough information. If your adversary has less than half or has over half of their strain threshold taken already, they might start giving up some information, and that might be enough for them to end the encounter. And be prepared for that. If they want to end it, then feel free.
Or if one of the characters we see some really bad news, like that a loved one might be threatened with death. It's like, all right, chop this guy's head off.
What? Yeah, that happened. Well, it was more of a big,
punch,
Dootin fist through a ISB agent face, but that's besides the point.
No, exactly. It ended the encounter, that's for sure.
Oh, it sure did. Oh, it did. Well, I had to roll despair for that to happen too, right? Yeah. So other ways besides this, the hitting the threshold, or hitting kind of halfway to that threshold.
Yeah.
If there is a revelation at some point, and that's what you were talking about there. The character had a revelation moment that he needed to be elsewhere.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now, whether he just left the encounter or whether he killed the guy and then left the encounter was moot point. There was a revelation that happened in the middle of that social encounter that caused a character to bow out completely out of the encounter.
Yep.
Triggered with a despair, but you can have those built in as a GM. Again, like I said, social encounters, just like combat encounters, have a couple of things that you want to spend despair and triumph and advantage and threat on, and have one of those be a revelation moment where if this character plays their character to the letter like they normally would, this is where they're going to bow out of this encounter. They're going to want to flee, or they're going to want to, attack, or they're going to want to have whatever it may be.
Well, yeah, that's it. Which reminds me of the other point about social encounters. You want also to take a note of the character's motivations.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Strengths and flaws, fears and desires, because that can be played against the players. The players can, if they discover what motivates the NPC, that can also enter into account.
And you'll want to have that defined, like Stefan said. You want to have that defined for your adversary that's running this encounter. Maybe even the mooks that are around him too, right? Like some of the guards might be in the room too, right? You might turn to one of the guards and pull on their fears, like, hey, okay, perfect social encounter here. Episode of Firefly, they offer Jane more money than what these guys are paying him. Found out what his motivation was, pulled on it, and he turned on him. Boop! That totally, almost, pretty much ended the encounter right there, right? Yeah. So you'll want to maybe have that in there.
Well, that's it. For sometimes for minions or even some rivals, you might not have to get all 4 motivations, but a couple of motivations. Greed, fear of the boss, or something like that. At least to get an idea of why they're there. Whereas a nemesis it would behoove you to at least get the 4 motivations out there, the broad lines, to get an idea.
Yep. Get the DFSF.
Mm-hmm.
Desire, fear, strength, flaw.
Yep. Yeah. Absolutely. Those acronyms.
Yeah.
Well, I'm always shorthanding, and I'm when I create encounters, I write them down on 3x5 cards, or I create a little document file with just as little information as I need to make it successful. And that's one of the things, each adversary has a DFSF underneath it for a social encounter, just so that as a GM, okay, it's a 1-word description.
At least, yeah. So the way, because those can come into play in social encounters, definitely.
Yeah. Anything else we want to talk about for social encounters?
Mood music.
That helps. Yeah, that could help.
Combat, a lot of times, music can be very distracting. But I found that if you have a social encounter in a bar setting, or in a arena setting, you could have some background noise and mood music to kind of get players in the mood to what's going on around them.
Immerse them a bit. Yep.
Immerse them a bit. Social encounters are really good for mood music.
Cool.
That could be nice. Yes, definitely. Mm-hmm.
That's a good suggestion there. All right. So what do we have next?
Next is something you mentioned earlier, the interesting skill challenges, which is, like Tony says, something that players have introduced ever since, way back even in Star Wars games before Genesys came out. So what are skill challenges exactly?
Well,
a quick overview.
Yeah, if you want to, they're real well described in the GM's Eclectic Toolbox, page 11. Mm-hmm. But there's a number that you have, which is your threshold. That's a number of total successes that you need to succeed at the encounter. And then there's a number which is your fuse, which is a number of total failed checks that you need to fail at the encounter.
Yeah, not necessarily failures, but failed checks.
Correct. Right. And then there's a list of skills that are best used for the encounter. And that's really how a skill challenge is written up.
Exactly. It's the basics I've read a little bit about it, and Tony especially has run us through quite a few of them, whether it's trying to find a way through a battlefield to another area so we can escape on a frozen planet, or just trying to get some information.
Investigation, yeah.
An investigation, or how to get a layout of a building so we can try and infiltrate it.
Yeah, a heist.
Different characters use different skills.
Yep, you could do a complete heist with a skill challenge and kind of narrate through it.
Well, that's it. From the outside security, the staff, the layout, to...
And you can use any... And the idea behind these, which I really like these, because it really helps players who haven't necessarily... might be new to the system to really think outside of the box and use all your skills instead of, I need to use stealth, I need to use this or that. You can maybe use your knowledge skills or a survival skill or whatever it may be, but any skill can be used in these. Yeah, any skill can be used in these, typically a hard difficulty. But like Tony said, you'll want a handful of these, 4 to 6 of them, that make that a little easier. And typically I think we do like an average difficulty with those if you use those skills. Now, everyone gets a try. The way we've run it is that every player gets a try, and then we go to the next quote-unquote round, but you can't use the same skill twice.
Twice in a row by the same player. Yeah.
In the challenge. Not in a row, but you just can't use the same... the player can't have their character use the same skill twice in the encounter. You have to use something else. So that's pretty good.
Yep. And so when you're building these GMs, you'll want to decide what it is to succeed at the encounter and what is the cost of failure. So in this case, the a good example Stefan used of me, the one I ran on my Hoth adventure, where you guys were trying to do a skill challenge to escape a busy battlefield and get to your starships and get off planet. The question was not whether you would get to your starships or not. The question would be when you got to your starships. With a successful check, you got there before the ground reinforcements arrived, and you didn't have to fight your way off the planet.
Right.
If you arrived after, then they had showed up, and you would have to do vehicle combat on the ground before you could do space combat getting away.
Right.
And so it's a simple, what does it mean to succeed? What does it mean to fail? The skill challenge. And the skill challenge should never be, well, they don't get the piece of information they need. It should always be, the skill challenge sets the condition, successful skill challenge sets the condition for a later encounter. Whether that's bypassing it, or in this case, bypassing the ground combat battle, or maybe, a good example, the heist that you mentioned. If you were successful, you got the item you wanted and you got out of there. If you were unsuccessful, you got the item you wanted, but you were either caught on camera, or you were the police arrived right as you finished it. Now you've got to try and do another skill challenge to get away from the cops.
Yep, that's it.
Or, another one is players trying to get to something before a enemy damages it. Something that they need, a MacGuffin that they need before an enemy damages it, right?
Right. Yeah. I simply
go ahead. Because if that enemy damages it, then you're going to have to spend time and money repairing it before you can use it, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
When I ran salvage for you guys in that skill challenge to figure out where you needed to go to get the salvage, there wasn't a question of you guys. I knew you guys were gonna know where you're gonna go. Pass fail meant whether you would arrive. Success would mean you would arrive and notice the sentries were already there, kind of wandering around where you guys needed to mine, and you can maybe ambush them. But you guys failed it. You guys still found with your advantages. That's why I threw out, because it looked like early on I threw out, okay, here's a map. You have a rough idea of where you're going to go. But since you guys failed it, I had you guys get ambushed at the end there.
Well, that's it. So so move the story forward still, but with a complication.
Yep. And then go ahead.
The skills you choose they have to be relevant. You always have a reason why that skill would be used. And the reason why would be, well, succeeding on the skill, I will give this piece of information, or I will give them this clue that they can build upon. And that's if this type of skill is used. A good example, the heist, if you're using computers, okay, well, now you've got the floor plans to the place. If you're using skullduggery, okay, now you've got the security cameras shut off. Those little bits that you're using, though, you want to have every skill on the list have a what does it mean to succeed on that skill check too.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then any other skills that are not on the list, well, because the player has to sort of explain why you would use it, how it would be relevant. But if it makes sense, then you can use it, but a little bit more difficult because it's not one of the main skills, an obvious skill.
And this is a great opportunity. Skill challenges are a great opportunity for you to uncouple skills. There comes a time when you always will have this. If you've run enough games, you'll have that big burly character who wants to use coercion, but he wants to put a gun or a knife or an axe or a hammer on someone's face, and so he will be using his presence with a weapon skill, or he'll be using his brawn with a coercion skill.
Yep.
Think outside the box when your players decide they want to do that. Play with it, GM.
I think that's I think that's what we did. I think that's what we did during that interrogation with Mass, the big Dawootin that I had. I basically what I did is I explained to Tony, all right, Tony, this is what I want to do. I have this big ass wrench in my hand. This guy's hanging, and I just want to hit the thing above him to make it just ring through his body, right? The vibrations of the chains holding him up ring through his body, and I want to yell this into his face. Coercion, but I kind of want to use my melee. I kind of want to hit something. So I think you said, all right, brawl with your, or no, I think you told me
brawl plus coercion.
Brawn plus your ranks in coercion. Yeah. So, and we did it, and it worked out pretty good, actually. Actually, I fucking missed, but I think that's what I knocked down Jamie's character.
But you got advantage?
I'm like, no, I so didn't. Oh. I think I failed with threat, and I think I knocked Jamie's character back. So it was a
backswing.
Keystone frickin' Cops, man. Fucking, I wanted to use Bad Cop, but no, didn't quite work.
So that's another thing. And last I'll note, when it comes to, again, settings with magic, if magic is going to be used, magic has narrative uses, and they all have a base difficulty. But when magic is used to get something that can be accomplished via another skill, so if they're just using magic, if magic is listed in magic use, let's say
Arcane, right?
Arcana, and let's say cursing something is the curse mechanic of Arcana is 2 difficulty normally for the base. And if that's one of your skills on the list, expect that a player is going to do that. Now, however, if they're using the attack version only starts at 1 basic difficulty. You're doing a narrative use, it's going to be whatever the encounter level is. If the magic skill is listed and you're standard average difficulty, that's going to be your difficulty. Don't go with the book's hard-coded magic difficulty. But if they're using magic outside of the box that you've designed, and let's say you don't have magic skill listed, but a player decides they want to use that curse instead of a coercion, well then increase that difficulty by 1, because it's going to be hard because it's outside of your list of skills, but then it's also going to be daunting because the rule applies when using a magic skill for something other that could be accomplished with a regular skill. Always increase the difficulty by 1.
Right. Yep. Like if you're, and even so, those have codified mechanics in combat. The utilities action for spells doesn't, but there are some things in the book to tell you about that as well. So if you wanted to say, pick a lock from a distance using skullduggery, normally you would use skullduggery for that, right? And if that's on your list of skills to be like an average check, well, if he wants to use Arcana to do that utility spell, well, that'll be a hard check, even though you're doing effectively the same thing. Just using a different skill for it. So.
Yep. Exactly. That's what I was getting at.
Yep.
And use hard-coded book rules for combat skills. If someone, I want to pull out my gun in a close situation. I want to use it in hand-to-hand. There's hard-coded using a weapon in engaged range, a ranged light weapon at engaged range is 2 difficulty. It's just use the hard-coded ones. It's easier for players and for GMs if you just think of, okay, you're firing at long range with a gun. I don't care what I said. The encounter difficulty, you're firing at long range with a gun. That's, hard.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
Yep. Yeah, for these skill challenges, for sure. Yeah.
So.
Excellent.
Very nice.
All right.
All right.
Last one is, not the last one, but the next one is one that I kind of take personally to do. I try to create a lot of mystery in some of my investigations. And I look to the primal, just like perfect investigation encounter I ran was over on our friend Jamie's podcast or YouTube channel, the brewery. I ran you guys through Shadow of the Beanstalk, and there was a murder that you guys had to solve.
Yep.
Cool. Right from the get-go. It was the opening encounter and it set the tone for everything. And
it did.
When building a good mystery or investigation, you have to know. You have to have a list of things that you know. As a GM, you should have them all right there at your fingertips, so that when you're leading players there with clues, you're giving them little bit by bit. Number 1, you have to know what the mystery is. In this case, there's a body, and the body was supposed to have something on it that you're supposed to retrieve. Why is there a body, and where did it go? Those were the big mystery, right? Mm-hmm. The other thing that you may not reveal in this encounter is who knows the answers to these questions, who knows the truth. Yep. A list of everyone that knows that will come into play later in the adventure is key. Yep. Then applicable skills, much like a skill challenge, you want skills that you'll tell your players are going to be used for investigations. Great ones to use. Perception, vigilance are the bread and butter.
Knowledge.
Knowledges.
Negotiation.
Streetwise negotiations.
Mm-hmm. If it's a futuristic setting, computers would probably be a good one, right? To pull down video camera feeds, that kind of stuff.
Skullduggery.
Definitely.
And believe it or not, medicine, if you're doing forensics work.
Absolutely. And then medicine coupled with a knowledge check, would be good.
Knowledge science, that's another way to do a forensics.
Yeah, I mean, you can use...
If you're like doing like ballistics test, knowledge science.
Right. Figuring out how did they break into this place, right? You can use, perception or vigilance could be a good one. But like you said, skullduggery would be a good one. You have the knowledge to break into things. Well, what does it look like when I break into something? You know, you can use that, right?
And investigations are a great way to use skills in unique ways that you don't normally get an opportunity to do so.
Right.
I've had one investigation where a player actually used his ranged heavy to determine the caliber of a bullet that had hit something.
Why not?
That's cool. That's a good one.
And of course, it was ranged heavy coupled with intellect instead of agility.
Yep. Yeah, and those combat skills. I mean, you could use that to say, you know, how did this person die? Was this with a sword thrust, or was it a cut with an axe? Melee, with an intellect, right? If you wanted.
Yep. So, to have a good investigation, you're going to want to have clues, and there's two types of clues. One I call, you know, the key clues. This list is the clues that you're going to give away that lead to the solving of the mystery, and they're going to be given away at a rate of 1 per uncanceled success, or 1 per successful check, whichever you prefer.
All right. So those clues, Tony, those would be the, you know, clue A leads to clue B, leads to clue C, leads to mystery solved kind of thing, right?
Right, but you don't even necessarily have to give them in that order.
Right.
There's not necessarily an order to that list. Now, you want to decide whether you're going to give those out at a rate of 1 per success, uncanceled success, or 1 per successful check. But it depends on how big of a list you have.
Right.
And then the other category I like to call extra credit. These are going to be clues that are details that'll give away a little bit more information, but not integral to solving the mystery. They may be usable later in the adventure. They may be just great ways to fill in the blanks of knowledge your players are getting about your world that you spent forever building or whatever.
Yeah.
There's small list of ways the triumphant advantage on players' checks can be used to uncover unrelated details.
Yeah. And if you're running a campaign, you can use some of this triumphant advantage for long term. You know, this person is now a contact that you might know and trust for later on. Right.
And the GM may want to bank that the spare that their players roll for later. And then, so here's a question for you, Tony, and this kind of spawned my next, you know, I kind of added to the notes here related to if your players do fail all of these checks and they're just sucking, because we've had those nights where we just aren't succeeding at all. What do you do in that case when it's these clues that we're not picking up? How do you do that so that you're not writing yourself into a corner, halting the adventure progress?
Well, you should always have a back door to the information.
Gotcha.
And that is whether that is a new adversary comes into the situation to antagonize things.
Okay.
In this case, the murder mystery that I had you guys do, had you not succeeded on it, the cops would have taken over the investigation, and the one cop that was the investigator's friend would have been like, hey, you know, the other day when you guys were on that mystery, you know, I kind of this, that, and the other, and he's like, here's all the clues we found, and I kind of need your help. So he would then come to you and ask for help.
Gotcha.
With all the clues that you missed, and still you would get them all, but you would get them later, and so it would delay the sequence of events, because that adventure was laid out in a sequence. This happens, this happens, this happens. It was called 48 Hours to Midnight.
Yep.
I had everything on a timer.
Yeah.
So, you know, in that one, getting things in a timely manner was key. If you didn't get them in that timely manner, You'd still get them eventually. It would just come via an outside source, whether it's an anonymous tip, whether it's an adversary comes in and decides to start shit.
That's right.
Whether it's
late.
You know,
maybe if you had that clue earlier, you wouldn't have gotten it ambushed, and that's the that's the consequence for failure.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay.
You should never stall a campaign or a single one shot with an investigation. It should not stall if they fail at the investigation. Nope. It should move things forward regardless. Just it will determine what happens next in a way it gives it context.
Gotcha. And my note here was also maybe giving free details or clues based on ranks in appropriate skills. That kind of might lead to your description of the room. Like, say somebody has a rank in, knowledge occult, and you're coming into a library. And as you're describing the library, you describe, you got the books, you've got the desk, and you point to the character who has that one rank in occult, notice some strange symbols that you may have seen in the Necronomicon or whatever the hell, right? And then that might spawn them to start thinking, oh, let's search for the Necronomicon. Do they have a copy here? Or let's pull it up online.
That's great ways That's great ways to give your players, number one, an idea of what skills you want them to be rolling. And it's also a great way to highlight, hey, you've spent a lot of XP getting those 3 ranks in that skill. Mm-hmm. If a player has 3 ranks in a skill, they've either spent a lot of their starting free ranks, the racial one and the one you get for your skills. Mm-hmm. So they've doubled down on a skill at character creation and then spent 15 XP, or they've spent between 15 and 30 XP or 35 XP
depending
to get 15 of 45, to get to that point. So they've invested a lot of their XP to get to that point. If they got 3 ranks in something, shoot them a freebie now and again.
Well, they had to have spent at least 15 XP to get that 3rd rank, right? Which is almost a whole session of XP that you would reward. You'd reward anywhere between 10, maybe 20 XP. So, rewarding your players with that is a good thing. Could be good.
Yep.
Great idea. Stefan, you have a note here.
Yeah, I added was a different take on it, about investigated in the eclectic toolbox. They talk a little bit about that on page 9.
Cool.
And he suggests, especially if the characters are not in a hurry, there is no immediate danger, they look for clues in a room, they're going to find practically everything. Just don't set a difficulty, just a simple difficulty, which means no difficulty die. And for every success they get more information.
Oh, if you want to run it as a quick investigation.
Yeah. So and not worry about them. Well, they're going to fail, so I have to find out, give them ways to find the information later on. It's no, if it's not, in dire duress or anything like that, and no one opposes them,
right?
They're going to find it. Maybe successes, they find it fairly quickly and so forth, and before maybe the next round of security guards comes by into that office, we can find plenty of information and be off on our way.
Gotcha. That's interesting. That's an interesting take on it for sure.
Yeah.
Your level of success gives you the level of detail.
Well, that's it. Exactly. And he lists 4 tiers of how much information you would get. 4 successes would be the maximum where you get a lot of the information. Not only do you find maybe just a page of a book with arcane runes on it, but you actually find the book itself.
There you go. Like shortcuts, if you will, to the next step, maybe in the mystery.
Well, that's it, because that's not stalling the adventure just because someone just failed that's anticlimactic. You want them to move forward, go to the final mystery and uncover it, and then either battle the bad guy or get him arrested or.
Yep. And remember, and anytime you call for skill checks, 9 times out of 10 you'll want to have the reason for that skill check already kind of in your mind, and and having there be a consequence for failure. That's why you're making them make the check, right? And there's a difficulty. If there's no consequence for failure, don't even waste your time. Just give them the information or whatever, right? I mean,
and a lot of times, yeah, especially if they, like I said, there's no risk of them being attacked. There's no danger in the room.
Right.
There's no traps.
Investigation is kind of its own beast in a way too.
Yeah. Definitely.
It can be fun to run as a whole encounter, or it can be resolved as a single check. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yep.
So there you go. A few different ways.
Moving on. So we have setting-specific encounters that we've gone into. Like for Shadow the Beanstalk, we did an entire show, 2 whole shows on hacking.
Yep.
We have done an entire show for our setting on the mentalism rules and how we were going to do mentalism for our Tales of the Epsilon Eclipse, which is going to be a separate type of encounter. But there's other stuff. What do you got? You've got some notes here, homie, and I
have a couple notes. Yeah, there's one, and I mentioned it a little earlier when we were going through this. I've written on here lumberjack tournament. Would you do it as a skill challenge? Would you do it as combat? Would it be a structured encounter or a mixture of both? I don't know. I feel, so what you would want to do, so something like that, if you want to do that sort of a tournament or a wrestling tournament, or I don't know, what other kinds of tournaments would you want to do?
A log rolling event, that's a kind of a combat. You're opposed by someone else.
Well, that's
it
coordination.
Might take a couple of.
That's coordination straight up. The climbing the pole.
True.
That's athletics. Axe throwing. That's easy.
Yeah.
That's range light.
Well,
I mean, but you want to think about these things.
You're talking about a competition, right?
Yes.
So then you're doing competitive checks.
Yes,
That's the key.
Yep.
You're running a skill challenge, so to speak, but you're running it with competitive checks. And so your competitors, your adversaries, are going to have, they're going to be your fuse. You have X amount of rounds, so to speak. This is going to be a 5-round lumberjack tournament, and the events are going to be X, Y, Z, A, B, and C. Right?
Yeah.
And your opponent for X is going to be this guy, and total number of successes you roll versus total number of successes he rolls, and so on and so forth. You can go each round, you can track success, but the overall at the end winner or placing of various opponents is going to be based on total number of successes opposed by those opposing characters, being adversaries or other players. Total number of successes. So that would be a series of competitive checks, and that's the way I'd run it. Any kind of tournament, whether it's a Mortal Kombat tournament, whether it's a lumberjack tournament. Keith Capel gave us that Ready Fight supplement, and he's got rules for tournaments in there. They were competitive checks.
A chess tournament.
Whatever. Magic Duel.
Yeah, Magic Duel. Yeah, there you go. That's cool.
So it would be a series of checks. If you're doing like a Harry Potter Magic tournament, you're
the Tri-Wizards Cup, right?
Right. So or Quidditch tournament. That's going to be a series of checks, and they're going to be opposed.
Scoring. There'll be scoring. You have to keep track of points and scoring and those kinds of things. So the other thing that I have here, is a vehicle race. I was thinking of it only because I ran it. I've ran Jewel of Yavin. This is inspired by the Jewel of Yavin Star Wars RPG adventure. I converted it for 5e, which worked really well. They had a lot of fun. Thank you guys for putting up with my shit. But I know you guys enjoyed it. That was awesome. And so long story short about like these vehicle races, the way they did it in Jewel of Yavin, which I would do, which I'm actually going to do in the speed buggy tourney or race that he's going to invite people to, is going to be breaking up the track, so to speak, into different segments, throwing a couple that have a unique feel, okay, and then every segment, you'll have everybody make, in this case, it will be a driving check. The Jewel of Yavin, it was piloting checks.
Yep.
And then if they're going the same speed, they're considered the same range band of each other, right? Total number of successes gives you that placing at the end of the segment. And then the leader that's in their range band would get boost dice to kind of go to on their next checks. You can give setback dice to people in the back. You can spend those advantages and triumphs and threat and despair to kind of cause havoc on others. Running into people, collisions, add that kind of stuff in there. And one thing that they did unique to the Jewel of Yavin is they had this place value that they gave for every segment. So whatever speed you're going, that segment, that gets added to this total value, this rolling total. And that determines basically your final overall winner. And then I think when I ran that, I think that's on the brewery as well, that race.
Yep.
I think that might have ended with your opponents rolling despair. So it's kind of a no-brainer on my part to end the race that way and have you guys be the winner. But then
actually, we didn't win the race.
No, you didn't. You wanted to make sure somebody did. That's right.
Someone else who helped us out, so we made them win.
Yeah, so having a little bit of mystery leading up to the race is one thing. Skill challenge before that to fuck with the other players, to mess up their, to fix your ride or mess up somebody else's ride.
Or mess up their minds, like, oh, maybe I'm not good enough to pilot.
Yeah. So this was an encounter, but it took a while, and these segments were your rounds in the encounter. So I don't know.
Yeah,
that's a great resource. If you are out there, you have it. You can very easily reskin it as a dinosaur riding race, or you can in the Talenta half planes or whatever if you're running an Eberron adventure.
Maybe you should run the race in Conan or Thundar the Barbarian on our horses.
and also like Chris, you also made sure that even those characters that were not physically in the race had something to do, because my character was the pilot, Jamie's character was my co-pilot / gunner, but Daryl's character was not in the race per se, but she did things anyway.
Yeah, she did.
Give everyone a roll.
Give everybody a roll. And I think I may have had Daryl roll for some of the competitors too.
Which is always allies great. Or rival / allies. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's right. I think I may have had him make the piloting checks for that group you wanted to win. And of course, I I wanted to count on Daryl to roll his despairs. Damn it, he was rolling good that night.
Yep.
But so, anything else you guys could think of? Anything setting specific? Is there any setting specific other than the Lumberjack tournament in Tales of the Epsilon Eclipse?
Yeah, the mentalism.
Oh,
the mentalism, which we kind of mentioned that we're reskinning a little bit of the hacking kind of rules, but tweaked enough that it's just inspired by it. So we'll go through that probably in another episode more in depth.
Nice.
If we haven't already.
Well, the last thing I wanted to cover before we move on was the fact that, we had talked at the very top of this segment about, one-shot versus campaign play. Mm-hmm. And the key thing when in counter design for a one-shot, now campaign play you have as long as you want. You're meeting every week, every 2 weeks, whatever. If your encounter encompasses 2 sessions, so be it.
Who cares?
Let it naturally take its course. Mm-hmm. In a one-shot, you don't exactly have that. So you have to design your combats to be 3 rounds or less, your social encounters to be
about the same,
roughly 3 rounds or less, your skill challenges to be ones that your characters are going to fail or succeed at in 3 or 4 rounds. And each encounter, one shot you usually have 3 to 4 hours as a block. Now, I've heard of places that run 1 hour one shots. That's downright, speedballing it.
That's crude.
You're doing one encounter and you're done.
Yeah,
for
typically
that.
at your conventions. Now, no, there's not a whole lot of conventions this year, but those are anywhere between 3 and 4 hours, like you said.
Right.
Yeah, even the
3 and
virtual
4
conventions.
Hours.
Yeah.
But if you're running a one shot for a party for a group of friends that you want to introduce Genesys to that never played it before, right?
Yeah.
You have to include 30 minutes to an hour to teach the game.
Yeah.
If you have new players.
Yeah.
Then your encounters, if you have figure 15 minutes a round, 3 to 4 rounds is 45 minutes to an hour.
Yeah. Hours is a good estimate. And then changing between encounters is, 5-10 minutes. Something like that.
Or, so putting yourself to where you have that 3 to 4 hours, you should never have more than 3 solid encounters in there, but if you do, make one optional.
Yes.
Make one that you wouldn't, you don't have to include.
Right. That they could skip if you want, maybe.
Yeah.
If you're short on time.
Yep.
Yeah, but even if you want to, let's say, touch on, let's say, a combat, social encounter, and a skill challenge at one, sometimes if you think you're not going to run long, end the combat early. It's like, okay, we've gone through a couple of rounds of combat. You get an idea, especially when it's an intro. Okay, you've managed to defeat the bad guys. Move on to the social encounter if you want. If it's just for teaching purposes, that's fine.
Yeah.
Build in to your final encounter a method to end it early was the last note I was going to say.
Nice.
Particularly, you're going to run short on time. Something explosive, dynamic, something that's going to give it that big explosive ending that we all love in films that you're going to love in a one shot. Give that final encounter a way to be ended to cut it short and still be exciting.
Yep.
Well, that's it.
Absolutely. And I recommend when you are, and Stefan, you mentioned all the main 3 types of encounters here. If you're teaching Genesys, if this is going to be for a group that has never played before, have one combat encounter, one social encounter, and have a skill challenge built in so that you can really give them that experience, because it's not all about combat, for sure. The social encounters might take a little bit for somebody to kind of wrap their head around, but they're fun and they're very rewarding when they're done right, and people get it. When people start getting it, it's really cool.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, and I don't recommend doing the social encounters to start, because you're going to have the awkward part of people trying to role play and get to know the dice and the system.
That's true.
So I would recommend, if you're dealing with a lot of new players, to roll the social encounter first. Maybe a quick combat to get them used to rolling die rolls.
True.
Or maybe a small skill challenge to get them used to thinking outside of the skill box.
Yep. I'll tell you,
those are great icebreaker encounters.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, the Star Wars RPG did it right in the beginner box. The Escape from Maz Shutta beginner box adventure. If you could get your hands on it, that is a great way that they built up the narrative dice system, introducing it, right? They had a very simple check to start with, made it more complicated, with the, introducing the advantage and threat and such on the second encounter. You can run it like that. You could run something like that, but that's something it's a good resource to get a hold of if you can.
Yeah. I played in that scenario twice with different players, a few different players, and both of them were very, very different.
Yes.
Because of the dynamic between each other and the players themselves, how they approached it. One of them was much more direct. Some of us were more direct. The other one was a lot of charms and distractions and stuff. And we managed to get the objective but very differently.
Mm-hmm. Yep. It's always good.
Very nice. Very nice. So, and then the last thing I want to know is, so for one shots, if you're using maps and minis, if you're gonna do maps and minis, your range bands, know in advance, because your players are going to ask, if you're using a map that has squares on it or grid on it, know how many of those is equal to a range band, because your players are going to ask.
Yeah.
Just have it in your mind in advance. You've drawn out your map in advance, or you're drawing it on the scene. Know how many squares is engaged range, from a player, or how many squares in your mind. So it could be nebulous, but if they have that on there, you should have it already in your head, because your players are going to ask.
Right. And if you've come from the D-Shift 7D, the rule of thumb that I normally use is, 30 feet, 6 squares is short range. Double that, 60 feet is like medium range, that medium range band. And then up to 120 feet is your long range, maybe 200 depending, But anything over maybe say 200 is like extreme range and such. I mean, that's one thing that I kind of use.
Yep. Right. Now, if you're just running Theater of the Mind, you don't have to worry about it.
Exactly. It's like, no, the other side of that bar is medium range. If he's on this side of the bar, that's short range.
But I can tell you, players won't be taking pictures of your table.
No.
If you're running Theater of the Mind.
No, they won't.
Unless they have powers of mentalism.
Yeah.
Well, that's it. I mean, that's in a nutshell. You guys got anything else you want to add to this entire conversation?
No, I think we covered most of it, if not everything. And if we haven't, listeners, write in. Right, please.
Yeah. Hey, you missed this. This is what I do. I would love to hear if there's anything that we didn't mention, that any of you out there, how you make your encounters rousing encounters.
Yes.
Please don't tell me how you make them arousing. Tell Stephanie.
Yeah, sorry. Didn't mean to. Sorry, I was going to make that episode 69 joke, but fail.
But and I can pass that along to my sister Stephanie, because she wants to do volunteer work. She wants to read porn for the blind.
Wow.
That's great. This was actually a listener suggested topic. I had lost the contact information of whom asked us to do this topic way back when. It was an email, or whether it was a Facebook message. I probably could have done a search through our archives to find out where it was, but I just decided, fuck it.
So if you're listening to basically what Tony's saying is, if you're listening to this episode and this was your idea, let us know. And we'll mention
let us
you on the
know.
next show.
And thank you for giving us the show topic. It made me think about more in depth how I write the interesting encounters that I do.
Yeah, and they are interesting, I must say.
Yes, excellent.
The
Very
no
good.
combat check adversary was brilliant.
Yeah, it was one of my finer moments.
It sure was.
We don't have our usual on the slab to follow up. We do, however, have some advantageous threats coming.
All right, welcome to our next segment that we call Advantageous Threats, where we build, roll, and narrate some die results on some sample skill checks for our entertainment and yours, and we build up a little scenario. And in this one, and in keeping with the episode 69, it's called Size Matters.
Oh, fuck. We're in for it, aren't we?
Yeah. And in this one, tied in a little bit with our Tales of the Epsilon Eclipse, the eccentric Dr. W. Slazinski, a Zemlian scientist. They're the ones with the reddish skin that Chris came up with in a Victorian-era world.
Cool.
He is wanted for crimes against the multiverse, and our two heroes have tracked him down to a hideout/lab in a small dimension world devoid of life but rich in the minerals he needs for his project. So while trying to capture the Doctor, both heroes were caught in his new shrink ray cannon.
What?
Yeah.
Oh.
And now they are only the size of small lab mice.
Oh, fuck.
And Dr. Slazinski has placed Big Joe
Not so big anymore.
No, and Detective Rafa on his large workbench as he gloats about their certain demise, and he releases half a dozen of his Robo Scorpions. Now, normally these tiny little robots would be easily crushed underneath their boot heels, but now they block the way to the shrink ray's controls, which is the only way to get back to their normal size.
Huh.
Can they defeat the Scorpbots and return to their normal sizes?
Well, then.
There we go.
That's interesting.
So
That's a nice little blurb.
I love it. That is great.
So just quickly, what are you guys playing? Chris, let's start with you.
Well, you said Big Joe. This is Joseph Joss Monofred, or Big Joe, the Lumberjack. From, I believe I played him in episode 50. He is a Lumberjack, and he doesn't care.
Yeah. No?
Right? He's basically he's from a long line of lumberjacks, and he took the oath of the Sequoia as soon as he was old enough. And everybody needs to be reminded of what the oath of the Sequoia is.
Of course, go ahead.
If they stand behind you, protect them. If they stand beside you, respect them. And if they stand against you, defeat them. And I think we might need to add to that: if you are 1 inch tall, fucking run away. No. We've got a couple of his motivations here. His desire is safety. He fears death.
How about this?
Yeah.
We could add, if they're bigger than you, chop them down to size.
Oh, nice. I like that. If they're bigger than you, chop them down to size. Gonna have to make a note of that. We may have to make an addendum to the oath. He's adaptable. Good thing. No matter what life throws at your character, even a shrink ray, you can do it.
Yeah.
And then he's got an addiction to keeping his axe sharp, his mind sharp, and his senses dulled with alcohol, I believe.
Ooh.
Potentially.
Well, it won't take much to get him drunk this time.
That is Big Joe in a nutshell.
Nice.
Or I guess he's on a half shell? Sorry. Go ahead.
Not yet.
Not yet. Close. He's on a nutshell.
I like the illustration you had for him in the character sheet.
Yes.
Which was basically an old Canadian stamp kind of thing.
Yeah. Well,
Awesome.
Joss Monofred is a famous, legendary Canadian lumberjack. So.
Right. And then I remember now you mentioned that one.
Yep.
Way back when. Nice.
Oh yeah, and he's got the blonde hair, big dude like the Norskas, right?
Right.
So yes, by the way, he is a Norska human. So.
Excellent.
All right.
And
what do you got, Tony?
Tony.
Detective Rafa DeBrecchio reporting for duty, sir. All right, so Rafa, as he's affectionately known to his friends, former Psycop. He is a Torakesh Minas, or Minotaur, interceptor, psychic detective. This short and portly Minas is dressed in an armored trench coat, and he has an eye patch.
That's great.
Scar he picked up in the line of duty. He's a special kind of guy. He's also, not only is he a normal Minas, but he's got a couple of genetic mutations of that the Torakesh can buy with extra XP. So this is what made him a great detective. He happens to have an olfactory upgrade, which gives him a very, very powerful sense of smell. And he has a scaled undercoat, which prevents him from wearing heavy armor, but it increases his soak while he's wearing light or no armor with a scaly coat that is underneath his fur. So that's part of the reason why he's such a stocky little guy. Right. And short for a Minotaur at 5'9".
Okay. Nice.
Short fella.
Yeah.
Well,
all right.
Really is.
So Yeah. Yep. All right. So those are our characters, and so you find yourself on top of a workbench. Your doctor just picked you up, like put you in a put a glass on top of you, slipped a piece of cardboard underneath, and then set you on the table at one end. And he released from this other container his little scorp bots. And you see at the far end your target, the shrink ray, that has of course, a reverse setting. So half the scorpions are at short range, the other half are skittering forward, but still at medium range.
How far is the shrink ray away?
We could say at least at long range.
Okay.
If not extreme range, but it's a short encounter, so we'll make it long.
Okay.
There are obstacles and conditions on this cluttered work surface. It's, like I said, including but not limited to pens and cups, some food, notepads, electronic tools, circuit boards, anything else that you guys may come up with that could possibly be on a workbench of a mad scientist.
Okay.
So, because I used Tony's rouse to try to make this combat encounter more interesting, the ROUSE.
Cool.
Okay.
So,
Well, I have a quick question.
Sure, go ahead.
Is the doctor nearby?
No, the doctor has left. He's gloated and he just left. Sure that his scorp bots will take care of you. His arrogance.
Of course he did.
So I have a question. My lumberjack, he has this psionics skill.
Mm-hmm.
What magic, quote unquote, actions can I use with that? I know we haven't done our psionics yet.
Not yet.
Are we talking moving objects with the mind?
You could probably use move, definitely.
Okay.
Some move, a bit of augment.
Well, because you know what
I
I'm
think
thinking,
we had
Tony?
it built into the skill. I think we had it. We did have it in our notes.
In our skill
keep
note?
going, and I'll look for it.
Yeah, so I don't know. I mean, Tony, are we rolling initiative right now, or you want us to go?
We can.
Are you going to go? How do you want to do it?
We'll roll initiative real quick.
All right.
Okay.
So you're talking vigilance, right? Potentially.
Yeah, vigilance or cool, whichever one is better for you. I'll roll for these guys.
I've got some vigilance, and I'm rolling. I've got real dice here because I like real dice. I've got a willpower of 3, no ranks in vigilance, but I did get 2.03, 2 successes, 3 advantage for me.
Okay.
Let me read that skill. Let me see here.
I had 2 successes, 1 advantage.
Okay, and the bots, I got a good one. They've got 3 successes, 3 advantage, and a triumph.
Oh, shit.
Nice.
Well, then, guess they're coming to us first.
Yeah. All right, let me just get a couple of dice just to represent these skill points. I mean, the story points. There we go. 1 for the GM, 2 for the players. In front of me. So the bots will go first. They simply, they're skittering forward.
Okay. You know what? Can I use that 3 advantage that I got for my initiative check to kind of change the terrain? Maybe throw a tipped over coffee cup between a group of them and us, so that it's slippery, difficult terrain, or maybe.
Sure, why not? They'll use their triumph as a free maneuver, so some of them are moving from medium to short range, and the 3 closest ones, maybe that's the one that you try to target with your cup.
Cool. Because I'm pretty sure the Zemlian scientist is a little clumsy.
All right, I have the magic list for you, Chris.
Yes.
Okay.
What do we...
Attack, augment, curse, heal, mask, mind, and move. And augment and heal and mask may only be used on the self.
Right.
Augment. What was that? Augment.
Attack.
Yep.
Augment.
Yep.
Curse. Heal.
Mm-hmm.
mask, mind, move.
Okay. And what?
I think we dropped mind, but I'm not sure.
What can we use on
maybe.
ourself? What are the only ones I can use on self? Augment.
Augment, heal, and mask.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha.
All right.
Okay.
So these guys, like I said, free movement at the beginning. They're getting close. So some of them we're getting close, but you've moved some stuff at your advantage. That makes it difficult. So we have to spend another maneuver
Cool.
to really make it to engaged.
Okay.
As they try to overcome some. It's an iced coffee, so there's ice as well.
Oh, nice.
Ice cubes that they have to go up and over.
Awesome. All right. That works.
So that they spent their free maneuver kind of thing for the triumph. They maneuvered as their standard maneuver then as well, and now they're ready to take their action, basically, to try and attack. And I'll roll a d6 to see who they're going to attack first. There's 3 of them. So we'll just split them into 2 small groups of 3 first. Go back to... All right, let me just go edit to make sure that I do this properly. There we go.
I'll take the even numbers.
Even? All right, so a 5. Tony.
All right.
Being targeted with the first one.
Detective.
Okay.
Yes, Detective Rafa.
Then the other group will come after me then?
Yeah,
All
that's it. So they're coming in at you with pincers.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. There we go. Come on, skill. Sometimes this program. All right, so fine. We'll roll it from there. So the difficulty of 2. Do you have any defense on the
I do. I have 1.
All right. And a setback on that. There we go. Whoops, just 1. All right. So they can't aim, so they will simply roll the dice. They miss. So
nice.
But they do get 1 advantage. So you're busy enough that it will give the next group of 3 a boost die.
Okay.
They're allies. And then we got a PC slot. Let's see.
Chris, you want to take it?
Go ahead. I'm trying to find the description for the move.
Okay.
Was that out of that the magic guide?
Yes. Zenithrix.
Yeah, Zenithrix Guide to Magic.
Yep. Okay, I got it.
Okay. So I will do, to start off, I will once per round, my character may, as an incidental, quick draw my pistol.
Okay, excellent.
Though it is super, super tiny, it's at least looks like it could damage, hopefully, the Scorpion bots.
Well, everything is scaled down, kind of thing. So you're still using your attributes as they are. You're not, reduced to 1.
I figured as much. Everything is to scale.
Yep.
Yep.
Because size matters.
Right
Yeah,
on.
Right.
And then I'm going to use, as my maneuver, I'm going to use Coordinated Assault. Once per turn, your character may use this talent to have a number of allies engaged with your character equal to your ranks and leadership. Add is that advantage to their check.
Yep.
To all combat checks they make this turn.
Okay.
So I have 2 ranks in leadership. So, Chris, you're going to get 2 advantage.
Nice. I'm going to need it.
Added to your check for my maneuver. As Rafa's like, you go left, I'll go right. And
that's right.
And then for my action, the bots on my friend, I'm going to take the hamstring shot. Once per round, your character may use this talent to perform a ranged combat check against 1 non-vehicle target within range. If the check is successful, half the damage inflicted and reduce before reducing, and the target is immobilized until the end of its next turn.
So sweet.
All right, so hamstring shot on his so that he can maybe get around and get to those controls.
All right.
I also have the precision talent, which allows me to use my cunning for my ranged light.
Ooh.
So I will be using a cunning-based ranged light. What did you say the range was?
They're in engage range now to you.
Engaged range, so that's going to be 1 normally, and then since I'm using a light weapon, add 1.
Mm-hmm.
And my dice pool sits currently at 2 yellow, 2 green, 2 purple.
All right. I'm good.
You're good. I'm good. Rolling it up. Okay, so first of all, triumph.
Excellent.
Awesome.
So 3 successes, 1 threat, and a triumph.
All right.
Total damage for the weapon. Let's see, where is my weapons on this thing? Submachine gun. Oh, it's not a pistol, it's a submachine gun.
Oh, okay.
So its damage is normally 5, so it's going to be 8 damage to the first group.
Machine gun pistol.
Machine pistol. Yeah.
There you go.
All right.
No, it's a submachine gun. It uses short range.
Sweet.
Range light.
All right.
Awesome.
So there we go. All right. So they suffer 4 damage. 4 damage. They've got silver 4. So one of them gets taken out. And one of them.
Well, they're actually
slightly
remember to
damaged.
half the damage, and they're immobilized.
Right. All right. Then so half the damage. Immobilized. Only 2. And with your triumph, you just take out 1.
Actually, no. For my triumph, I would like to, if you don't mind, posthumously trigger the auto fire on my submachine gun and hit the other group as well.
Oh, sure. Why not?
Cool.
With the same hamstring shot.
Same hamstring shot. So
They're immobilized. Nice. That helps me, by the way.
So basically, just firing at their feet,
Right.
strafing the area around their feet, causing a bunch of damage. Maybe chips of the table coming up and hitting their legs and causing them to get fettered.
That's it. Excellent. But you still do a bit of damage as well to them
damage,
as things are. Yeah.
Cool.
Right, that's my turn.
All right. Excellent. And Chris, your turn.
All right. Well,
Big Joe.
Big Joe sees that. He's like, you go left, I go right. He starts shooting the ground, kind of distracting the ones in front of me. And I've got a bead on that, on the control trigger switch to turn us all big again. Okay.
All right.
I'm gonna move. I'm actually gonna spend 2 maneuvers to get to short range.
All right. So you
If
go
possible.
from because they're long range. So you move 1 long 2 range bands.
2 range bands, so I could get the short range.
All right.
I'm actually going to spend 4 strain total because I want to use the move power to manipulate that trigger or the switch and move and just turn it on from short range, which would be an easy move check. However, I can't aim, so I do have so my psionic skill is 1 yellow, 1 green, and I have 1 purple die here.
Right.
So,
well, because it's a tense moment, of course. I'm going to upgrade it.
Oh, you're going to upgrade it, huh?
Upgrade it, yeah.
Well, we really want this to succeed. I'm going to upgrade mine as well. So I have 2 yellow and a red, plus the 2 advantage the detective gave me.
All right, excellent. I think I'm good. Maybe just throw in a setback because these skittering bots are racing behind you. They're right behind you.
Right. And of course the ricochet of the auto fire shots are a little distracting as well.
A little
kind of
bit.
running through the chaos. Well, yeah, but I'm running through the chaos, and I kind of know. I kind of trust. I trust the detective. He knows what he's doing.
Hopefully, bits of paper clips flying all over.
All right. So we're gonna roll this. Here we go.
All right.
Okay. Did not succeed. However, I have 3 net advantage. So here you go.
Right.
So can I use the 3 advantage to maybe I move something else, but I can't think of what.
How about this is a scientist lab, right? How about a chemical
yeah.
beaker?
Yeah.
Chemical beaker?
Yeah. Tip it over.
Okay.
Something, say, flammable.
Oh. On the table or near the ray? Onto the ray. I don't know. What do you think? I don't know.
Or
Onto the ray? I don't think that would help us.
I don't think that would help us, no.
on one of the bots, definitely.
No, okay, so it's actually a chemical that interacts with the ice coffee, and there's some sort of reaction happening between the group that I went past and where I'm at right now.
All right, maybe, chemical reaction, it creates a mist of some smoke stuff, and that might...
Dry ice, that's what it is. It's like some sort of like, what is that? What is the thing called? The stuff that freezes instantly.
Nitrogen.
Nitrogen. Or, I don't know. Just freezes the iced coffee. So it really is slick and freezing.
Yeah, so they're
I don't know.
Even their little spiky claws are having some difficulty.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
As the cold goes up them. All right, so giving them...
I tried! No! Oh, crap! No! Oh, shit! That beaker! Look out!
All right, so for them, it'll be even more difficult terrain to try and cross if they want to get to you.
Gotcha.
Right.
All right.
That's... All right, excellent.
Okay.
All right, so that was your action. We'll go back up to the round. So we'll go back to the ones that are on Tony. Those ones, the first group.
Okay.
They are immobilized until the end of their turn.
Right. So that's all they can do.
They can't
they're
move.
immobilized. They can't move, but they can take actions.
Correct.
All right. Well,
Both groups.
And you're still in engage range. So they'll...
I understand. I'm a sacrifice.
Yeah, so that's they're going to try and hit you again.
A sacrificial cow, so to speak.
Yep. But since
Don't sell yourself too short.
short, haha. So again, 2 difficulty, a defense. All right, and I'll add an extra setback dice because they can't move any closer. Sometimes they're still around you, but it's a bit more difficult for them.
Did you say move?
Yes.
He didn't quite say it like that, but I heard move.
But with all that, including maybe that big scorpion tail which comes over, they do get 1 success to hit and an advantage and 1 advantage.
Oh.
Okay.
So let me just go back to the character sheet there. We're not enough for a critical, but they do have 1 success, so 5 damage.
All right. I'll take 1 because I have a soak of 4.
All right, so there you go. Excellent. Oh, and I forgot they're accurate. Oh, well, they lose their accurate. That's for this time since they're
It's 1 blue die if you want to roll it in.
I'll roll it in real
one
quick.
more damage.
What the hell? 2 advantages. So now,
Is that enough to crit me now?
Yeah, but that would be enough to crit you. So
There, see, don't sell yourself short.
no. All right. So critical percentage, real quick, and they get these are vicious
The
pincers.
size of your dice pool matters.
Yeah.
It sure does.
So and they're vicious too.
Oof.
Hey. Well,
Watch it.
79 plus 20.
99. Uh-oh. That's
Yeah.
going to be a... Uh-oh. That might be a...
It's not,
That might be
it's
a
not
painful-
69, but
Well,
crippled.
oh,
One of my limbs is impaired until his critical injury is healed. Increase the difficulty of all checks that use that limb.
aha.
Well,
So what?
was
One
it
of
a leg
those
or an arm?
arms, or one of those vestigial arms.
What do you want? It's up to you. It's GM's choice. Makes sense for them to attack my gun arm, but
Yeah, definitely the gun arm. They're not that bright. So
okay.
nice.
intellect 1.
Right.
So Yeah, you hear as he roars from the other side of the field. His gun hand just falls limp.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Not good.
All right, so that was that, and then the other group, they find themselves surrounded by all this immobilized, and with all this mist vapor coming up, so they can't move any closer. But they have their little ranged lasers on their carapace.
Oh, do they
try to fire that? Yes.
Through the mist? Setback die, maybe?
Oh yeah, that's definitely going to be a setback dice for that.
Okay.
So let's go back to their character sheet real quick and range light. Yes, there we go. They're at short range. There we go. So 2 difficulty.
Well, medium range actually. I moved 2 range bands. Move from engaged to short to
Roll. Okay.
to medium.
To medium. All right. So that would be an extra difficulty.
Yep.
Okay. They've got accurate 1, so boost die there. Doop, doop, doop. And a setback dice for the cover of the mist.
Nice.
All right. And do you have any defense?
No.
No. All right. Oh, and they did get a boost die from their previous allies there, the other group.
Unless my flannel vestments give me defensive awesomeness.
We could if they were trying to charm you, or you were trying to charm them or coerce them.
That's right.
All right, rolling the dice.
Okay.
So, 2 failures. So they don't. So lasers go pew 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 pew, but 5 advantages and a triumph.
Oh shite.
Yeah. So
maybe they knock me out on my. Maybe they knock me off my feet. Knock me down.
They could knock you. They could knock you prone.
Cool. That works.
And there's the triumph. oh yes, for triumph. One of the lasers hits one of the controls on the shrink ray. The thing pivots and hits one of the bots and makes it a little bit bigger, like twice its size. So it's like silhouette 2 compared to your silhouette 1's.
Oh shite. Okay.
It's still small.
Yeah.
It's still small. It doesn't grow human size kind of thing, but it's still.
Right.
It's a little bit bigger. Whoa.
Okay. Now, is that in the group that's on the detective, or on that group, that full group?
That little group was aiming in the lasers at you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So there we go.
Alrighty then.
Do we do one more round?
Well, let me finish. Well, we can finish my turn.
Sure.
Because
No. Well,
I'm so glad you knocked me prone, buddy. Because guess what talent I grabbed? Jump up. I figured a lumberjack would have the jump up talent. So as an incidental, I get to stand from prone.
well, there we go.
So he kips up. Oh, like big lumberjack that he is.
Right.
And he'll move to engage range on the bots that are on the detective. Because he sees his buddy, the detective, take a nasty hit. So grabbing his great axe. So I'm guessing they're probably within short range.
You ran like two range bands though from that group.
Okay, so then I'll move into an engage range to them. So I'll move to short range and then to engage.
The group that so the one
Chris,
that has.
I hate to be a bad guy here, but you created an obstacle between you and them.
True.
I thought it was between the other group. No, the group that I'm going on towards you.
Oh, I thought that was between us and you. Between you and them, period. Meaning me too. I don't know, but whatever. Well, my visual is different from yours.
Yeah, I
use the theater of the mind.
Yeah, I thought you were affecting the second group of bots that
came to me.
Starting further away, and then they turned around to follow you towards the machine.
Gotcha. All right, so it's only one group that was affected. It's not between him and me. Got it.
Oh, that's it.
Okay,
there you go.
Sweet. So I'll spend the 2 strain though to get to engage range.
Okay.
On those bots, because I think they were. I probably needed to 2 maneuvers to get to that group. All right.
Yeah, to get to the group that's on detective.
On the detective. Yeah. Yep. Okay. Right. So I've got 2 yellow, 2 green, and an engage range is 2 purple.
Right.
Let me see. That looks good to me.
Right. Well,
Already used my
I'll,
2 maneuvers, though. Bummer.
yeah.
Okay.
I'll spend a story point to
Make one of those a red.
increase the difficulty. Yeah.
All right. Do they have any defense?
They're starting to get free of their.
The hamster.
No, they don't have. They have 1 defense. Yes.
Okay. All right. Here we go. Let me roll it.
Yep.
Okay. Holy failure tonight, Batman.
Oh.
Well, it looks like I have. Looks like I netted 3 advantage again. Wonderful. Let's see here.
Let's see. I had some
I
ideas
would
for advantage.
Yeah, I mean, I would like maybe I could,
On my. Sure. Go ahead.
I think maybe I'll heal 1 strain, and then with the 2, maybe I give them a setback die to make their next attack. So I kind of didn't quite expect it, and maybe my axe bounces off their carapace and jolts them a little bit.
From the unique results of the rouse, I had for advantages, a small welding tool shoots sparks, temporarily shorting out a bot. So,
ooh, there you go. Nice. Perfect. Sounds good to me. Spend it.
All right. Yep.
And that's 2 rounds.
So that we have Tony still to do his action on this round, and then we can see what happens. Detective Rafa.
All right. So
your friend came back to try and rescue you, to fight, and he missed, but he still managed to clip a welding tool. It spun around and shocked one of the bots. So it'll get a setback on its next action if it were to act. Maybe even an upgrade. We'll see.
Okay. Well, it hurts a lot. My gun arm has got a big old gash in it where they clipped me, right?
Well,
so
how about since this might be the last round, give you a boost die for the short. Make it more active. Maybe the short that.
What round are we in? Third one or second one?
Second round. The end of the second round.
I thought you went twice already, though, Tony, didn't you? The detective, or no?
Oh, you just went once.
Oh, you did.
With auto fire.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's what it was.
So, yeah.
Okay. So I have decided that my arm hurts. Mm-hmm. I use my vestigial arms to tuck my submachine gun back inside my pants. So I've got these little tiny vestigial arms, and they're tucking my submachine gun back into into my coat, into my pants, wherever I store it.
All right.
And I'm going to. How close am I to the edge of the table?
As close as you want.
Okay. As close as I want. I'll say 1 range increment away.
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay. The group in front of me, I'm going to lower my horns and push them off the table.
All right. So we'll say at least with a success, you'll get 1, and with advantages and whatever, we'll see what you get. See if you get more of them.
That's a brawl check.
Right.
So I don't have any ranks in it, but I still do have the precision, which allows me to use my cunning.
All right.
So I lower my head and try to push them off the table with my horns.
All right.
You messed with the wrong bull.
Yeah, so you got an advantage from Chris's
or boost
advantages, or the boost die, sorry, and a setback dice for the defense. They've got 1 defense.
Got it. Melee difficulty is 2 purple.
All right. I do not have any more story points, so I cannot upgrade.
And I'm okay with not spending 1. I like this pool.
All right.
So
do it up.
All right. Lots of success and a couple of blank dice, so that's not bad. So I had total of 3 successes, 1 advantage.
All right.
I'd like to spend a story point and use a lucky strike.
Oh,
cunning, and add 4 more successes to the damage of this. So basically, I'm doing what's my horns do, and I'm doing the damage with my horns, but it's technically pushing them off the table. So,
well,
grand total is 3 plus 4, so total 10.
10 damage, let's say, versus their pool, let's say of 9 total. We've got 4 soak. Let's say some of it's soak, like they dig in a little bit. You push 2 of them off.
Nice.
With that, you can use your advantage if you want to push the third one.
I only have one single advantage. I would just like to have pushed it, to maneuvered it to the edge, and hopefully, some proper maneuvering next turn, I can kick it off or something.
Nice.
Sure. All right. So 2 of them are gone. All right. Pew, pew, yeah, and you hear ting, ting, ting. Hit the ground below the tiles.
Nice.
There we go. Do you want to go another round, or should we just stop it here?
Up to you. It's your encounter.
You can do another round real quick.
Sounds good.
All right. So that last one, it's all by itself, but it will skitter. It's pushed back a little bit, skitter towards you. Take a maneuver to move towards you and try and sting you with its stinger. Okay, there we go. So 2. Let's see here. Oh, God damn it. The way. All right. Accurate 1, so boost die there. But I did say. That's for. You get the boost die earlier. Perfect. And do you have any defense?
Yep, 1.
All right, 1. That's right. So I got 3 green, a blue, 2 purple, and a black. So let's do that. Okay. 2 successes and an advantage. There we go. So that's with the stinger, not enough to do a crit, but it does have momentum. It's as an ability called momentum. If they perform a move maneuver, they can add 3 damage to 1 hit from successful brawl or melee combat. So for a grand total of 2, 4, 6, 7, 8 damage.
Ouch.
Yeah. As it really rams into you.
Oh, wow.
Ouch. All right, I'll soak 4 of that, take 4.
All right. And then the other group of 3 with their giant brother amongst the 2 have turned themselves around and they're moving towards you. But they were already pretty far away, so they'll just take a round, their maneuver to move from medium to short. And they'll downgrade their action to move to engaged.
Okay.
That's about it. And then we got a PC slot.
Go for it.
Well, I'd like to make a run for it and maybe put some of these obstacles between me and them.
All right.
So that sounds like a deception check, correct?
Could be a deception, yeah. Yep. Totally.
Okay. I'll use my deception to try to feint and move option. Basically, I'm going this way. Aha! Kidding.
Wow.
Going the other way around objects to make them chase me around objects.
Nice.
And mentally, I'm gonna convey a message to my friend. Get to that switch. All right. So what is their vigilance?
Their vigilance is this is a group. The vigilance of the one that's simply on you is would be 1 purple. Unless you're affected by the other 3, I can merge all of them into one group now.
Okay.
Actually, group of 4.
Is vigilance one of their group skills?
Yeah, it is. So I'll just upgrade it. There we go. So now they're 1 group. So that would be 2 red and a purple.
Okay. All right. I would like to spend a story point to upgrade because I really want this to succeed.
All right, not a problem. And I'll spend a story point too because despair.
3 red dice. Okay, 3 red, 3 green, and a yeller. There's still smoke in the air. Boost die.
Oh yeah.
All right. Awesome.
And sparks from the other thing.
All right, you got your despair, but I also got a lot of advantage.
All right.
So, 1 single success, despair, and 5 advantage.
All right, so you do succeed in putting some obstacles. You push a small beaker or one of those small racks of the, what do they call them? Not beakers, but test tubes.
Ah, gotcha.
With contents of crushed minerals, liquids, and they're all reacting, and the glass as well. What do you want to do with your advantage?
I would like to give... I've distracted them all so well that Chris has a complete clear path to the machine.
Nice.
Awesome. Very good. All right.
Sorry, the Big Joe.
Big Joe.
Yeah, Big Joe.
Gonna try and use his...
What's my despair?
It moved, actually, Big Joe. Like he was standing on a ruler, and it spun, sending him a little closer. Like he's now in short range. He's short range of the machine.
Perfect. Whoa!
But by doing that, you spun yourself, and you're at the edge, the other edge of the table.
Of the other ruler.
The other half of the ruler.
Other edge of the ruler.
Over the edge.
I'm on one side, you're on the other side.
Yeah.
So I can't step off of it. Uh-oh.
So,
no, you can't. Just, you got to hit me with that shrink ray before I hit the ground.
I know.
So you're hanging. The edge of the ruler is just hanging above the edge, and you're just hanging on there.
Excellent. So I'm standing on. So I'm standing on one side of the ruler. You're standing on the other side of the ruler, off the table.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Okay.
Yep.
So hitting us with the shrink ray, I have my psionics. So I'm within short range. Okay. Yep. So it's a 1 difficulty. Can I double aim with the move? Or not? Because it's a trigger? I don't know about that.
I'll say
or
yes.
I'll just aim. I'll just take the aim maneuver and do
just while one aim.
Boost.
Yeah.
Do boost die. All right, there we go.
Yeah. Your friend is in dire straits.
Do we have a story point?
Yes, you have 2.
Okay, I'll spend 1.
Yeah, and I'll spend 1 as well.
Well, of course, because despair.
Because
all right,
it's literally a cliffhanger moment in miniature.
Literally is. Okay, here we go. All right. The good news is no despair.
All right.
Bad news is no success.
Oh.
1 advantage.
1 advantage. All right. Well, you've moved one of the controls. Maybe it's powering up.
Well, let's say it's powering up, and I actually, you know what? I moved it so that it's now aimed at us.
Right. So that... Do you want to keep going, or do we leave it as a cliffhanger?
Let's leave it as a cliffhanger.
Let's leave it as a good enough. Literal. Well, it's more of a table hanger.
Still.
Hey, it's big enough to be a I'm standing over the Grand Canyon right now.
Oh, shit.
And as you see below, the other scorpions that you threw off were at the other side of the table, but now they're scurrying underneath, and you see them just coming up underneath.
Oh, no.
Waiting to catch me like a bunch of crocodiles at the bottom of the gorge.
Yep.
Well, I'm glad I'm a pancake eating lumberjack, man, because I don't know. I'm pretty sure this minotaur weighs a bit much.
Yeah, right? But he's light now. He's small.
He's 489 pounds.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, if he was 1 inch, so. All right.
Normally.
There we go.
All right. Well, dude, that was fun.
Yeah, so
that was
I did use the rouse to try and get some ideas, wrote down obstacles, some unique results, advantage, triumph.
What were some of these other unique results? I know they're right here, but if you want to, go into a couple of them here. These were cool.
Yeah. So for advantage, an idea like a small, we already talked about that, the welding tool sparks and shorts a robot. And that could be interpreted as giving them setback, an immobilization, whatever.
Nice.
A triumph. The PC has hit something that strikes a bot and flips it off the bench. Threat. A spilled drink has dried up, but created a sticky mess slowing down movement. Or despair. A shrink ray has shot out, which I used. A brief burst, and one of the bots grows a little bit bigger, which would have been more damage, more dangerous. But he was still confused, like, where's my target? They're so small. Skill diversity, ideas like athletics to overcome obstacles, like parkour kind of thing.
Yeah.
Deception or stealth to use obstacles against them.
Yeah, which is what you did, Tony, right? You use the deception to move out of the way.
That escape route, look to create ways to resolve. So maybe they do find a way to get to the shrink ray, or just off the table to a stool to evade the whole thing, and maybe come at it from a different angle. It could have been one thing.
Nice. I like your picture of these. Of them.
Yeah.
Those are pretty neat.
Yep.
Well done, sir.
Thank you. So there you go. So ideas on how to master the encounter.
Oh, you mastered that one.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering now I'm wondering what happens if they get stuck in the shrink ray as well when I turn it on.
You never know.
Could make a mess in here.
Yeah.
Roll for a triumphant despair.
Yeah.
Yes, it could be.
Yeah, you return to your normal size, but then the scorpions are also all over the place. Think velociraptors in the Jurassic Park kitchen.
As I was rolling that first check, I'm like, that could be bad.
Yeah.
But size matters. It's all relative, apparently.
It can be.
All right. Well, are we ready to end this thing? Well done, man.
Thank you. I think we are. We can proceed to the outro.
All right. Well, hey, everybody. That is our show for tonight. On our next show, we're going back to the bar, the Epsilon Eclipse, and we're going to discuss adversaries that we have created for that setting. I think we're going to each create a couple of them and come up with, I think we were just talking, maybe a couple nemesis, couple rivals, couple minion groups types for this. And
I think it'd be a good time to reveal the big bads in the setting. I don't think we've done that yet.
Probably not.
No, I haven't mentioned any big bads.
Yeah, not from our brainstorming, right?
Yeah.
From our brainstorming. Yeah, that'll be good. So we have something special for our listener feedback segment here. Stefan.
Yes. Well, not so much listener feedback, but some news from the community that a friend of the show, Keith Capel, who's written for Fantasy Grounds, Fantasy Flight Games, Star Wars, and Genesys, has now been hired on to work for Edge Studios, I think, as a freelance, right, Tony? The article?
Correct.
Right.
Freelance writer at Edge Studios. He just recently announced that to everyone. We're super excited because that means that Sam at the wheel over at Edge was at the wheel at Genesys with Fantasy Flight, and now Keith, one of the big writers for it, is on the project. So that's great news.
So actual people who write for role-playing games are there. So promises.
And it's Keith. He's been great to us coming on the show, and he's wrote that great Ready Fight supplement.
Oh, heck yeah.
So I look forward to seeing what he does in the future. So congratulations, Keith.
Yeah.
Yes,
rumors he's got something going on about that's like a follow-up to Ready Fight with, I think, vehicle-related combat.
Ooh.
Yeah.
So we'll see what.
I hope it's Mad Max themed.
Gosh, I hope it comes out. I hope it comes out before my Speed Buggy actual play, man. Maybe I can help.
Or maybe we can reach out to him and ask him if he can lend you a beta of the rules, and we can test it out.
If you're listening, Keith, reach out to us.
Yeah, maybe. And that's it for the listener feedback.
Yeah. So if you want to write us, file all complaints at findingthenarrativepodcast@gmail.com. You can get a hold of Stefan and I, Finding the Narrative on Facebook. All three of us, Finding the Narrative on MeWe. We're still there, even though it's kind of dead community for us.
Ghost town.
We still have our Twitter presence. The social media director here, Stefan, at FTN_Genesys.
Cool.
And if you want to, be kind enough to recommend us to others. We're on Podbean, iTunes, YouTube, Google Play, Spotify, and more.
Yeah. So
yeah. So great show, guys.
yeah.
Yes.
You too, guys.
Had a lot of fun. Yep.
Thanks for putting a lot of that together. It was very rousing
Yes.
and informative there, Tony.
I feel satisfied. Do you guys feel satisfied?
I feel satisfied.
Oh yeah.
Well, then it was a great episode 69 because everyone wins.
Yes, exactly.
Yes, they do.
All right. This is Tony saying, let's tell a story and spend them damn story points.
Yes. And this is Stefan saying, dare to ask for those boost dice, even if you're tiny little guy, no bigger than a field mice.
That's right. And then remember the rule of cool, and don't step off that ruler if your buddy's on the other end of it. But just have fun.
Yep, you have to measure up.
Oh, well done. Well done, Steph. Good night, everybody.
Finding the Narrative, a Genesys RPG podcast, is not affiliated with or endorsed by any companies mentioned on this show. Any of the products mentioned on our show or appear on our website are the property and copyright of their respected owners. All items are used under fair use and educational and review purposes. All other items are the intellectual property of Finding the Narrative, a Genesys RPG podcast. Copyright 2020, all rights reserved.